you for calling out what you feel are people who are just not honest within the movement. I don't know. I get the same thing about being divisive. I don't know. So like
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know how you feel.
Yeah. No, I think that's just their little way because they have their own small unity amongst themselves. Like I was saying, they got their own little conference crew. They all go on each other's shows, and they just so happen to come into the movement right after I created it, knowing the history of Robotham and Wallace, of Ferrari and Johnson, etc. And then the Mark Sargent to my Eric Dubay comes right along with his whole crew, and it was just you knew it would happen. You see it happening, and I called it out right from day one until now. And I don't think I've been wrong. And a lot of people who have claimed that I've been divisive and claimed that I shouldn't, be saying these things have come around and said, you know what, you're right. Especially after they put out these documentaries like Behind the Curve or after Jeran did the final experiment, so many people came to my comment section and said, vindicated, Eric, you were right. You called them out since 2015, stuff like that. So that's why I do this. In the end, I end up being correct, and I'm still the only one standing telling the truth. Wasn't it worth it? Wasn't that better than
Yep.
if I just had a false unity with these deceivers and then became drowned out and they just muddy the waters and my voice of truth wouldn't even be a voice of truth anymore? That's it, man. That's why I'm in this. I'm in this for the truth. I wasn't in it to make friends. I didn't come out here to have a unity among whoever comes out and claims themselves to be a flat earther and gets the most subscribers of a flat earth YouTube channel or whatever. And oh, now I want to be a. That wasn't why I was doing this. The whole point was to tell the truth.
Like, do you think the masses will ever wake up? So what I want to ask is, what do you think it will take, or how long? Do you have like at what rate, like, or let's say at the rate that we going now, how long do you think it will take, or do you think something could speed it up? What do you think?
Yeah. I wonder if there will be a single catalyzing incident that is able to just wake everybody up en masse, like a COVID type thing where everybody's just paying attention because they're clamping down so hard around some issue. For example, there's this thing called Project Bluebeam, where
Right.
the idea is that they have these technologies where you can have holographic displays in the sky. And this is like a CIA declassified document from decades ago that they are already developing this kind of technology to have convincing holographic displays over the entire sky so that people would think that a second coming of
Yeah.
Jesus or an alien invasion was happening. And then
Uh-huh.
they would be able to couple this with another kind of technology they have, which is called voice to skull, which is this like audio um, transmission device that goes right into your brain. So it's not passing through your ears like you're hearing normally, but it sounds like it could be God talking to you. And they were talking
Mm.
about what kind of how they could deceive the public into a second coming of Christ by literally having people think that God was talking to them and Jesus was coming in the clouds, or alien invasion and the aliens are talking to them, or something along these lines. So, I mean, this seems way far fetched and crazy, but to be honest, what happened in 2020 seemed pretty far fetched and crazy before that took place. Nobody would have ever thought that the entire world would be able to shut down in unison and have everybody 6 feet apart, standing in lines and wearing masks for years because of a sickness that is like no more deadly than a common flu, but then propagandize everybody into thinking that it's like the worst bug that's hit us in the century. And so, I mean, uh, a lot of faith in humanity went down during that time, and a lot of you're able to see how controlled we truly are and how far along this new world order actually has progressed. But because they're making such oversteps, such overreach, it did wake up a whole new sector of the population. A whole bunch of new people came to my channel and woke up to flat Earth and other conspiracies because of what they did in 2020. So there's this balancing that happens. The more that people try to rich psychopaths that want to control humanity further their grip, the more that people start to, wake up and realize that, this isn't the direction we should be heading. So it's like both things are happening at the same time. And what I would hope is going to happen, and what we can push to happen, is as these two tracks cross each other in the night, at one point there'll be a flip. In other words, the power of these rich psychopaths that, they've got so much money that they're all in politics, they own the United Nations and the banks and everything. So the amount of power, the amount of control they have on the world stage, they can just make a phone call, and the amount of influence they can have on the world is probably more than your entire life. Whatever you try to do your entire life to make change, they can counteract that in a phone call. But we've got the numbers. If we can wake up the entire world, and the entire world starts resisting and just saying, no, we're not going along with all these mandates, all these laws, all these rules, all these things that don't make any sense for us, they only make sense for you guys. If we can wake up people enough to have that kind of consciousness shift, a paradigm shift, then absolutely, that's what I'm working for. And I think that it's inevitable, actually, in a sense, because either we wake them up before any of this crap really hits the fan, and great, or it really does hit the fan, and this thing, that what I'm talking about, it forces it, exactly like you say. So once they push so hard, well, everyone's going to see, wow, they're pushing so hard. And that's the time when voices like yours and mine are actually going to have a chance to have some effect. Right now, we're screaming in the wilderness, and people are probably still going along to get along, tightening their belts, going to their jobs, not making these connections we're talking about, that these tinfoil hats you think we're wearing are actually the thing that could free us, but you don't want to look into it. And because you just want to sit on the sidelines calling us crazy, we don't have the influence that we should have. We should be the mainstream opinion. We shouldn't be the alternative. Everyone should be on our side. These globers, these people that go along with the globe, for me, that's just a symbol of the mainstream at this point. But there's so many other mainstream ideas and ideals that people are propping up, that if we just leave them aside, this amount of control that the rich, powerful people have over us is gone. That's what I'm working towards. That's what I think, in a sense, it's inevitable, because either we wake up in time or we don't wake up in time, and then there's such a catalyzing event that there has to be some kind of awakening. The only thing that's going to matter is the earlier we wake up, the less painful it's going to be for us. Because the longer it takes, the more we let them clamp down this new world order around us, the harder it's going to be to struggle through that awakening process and actually taking the chains off of us again.